This is good. This is good cold open. What happened to your headphones?
I don't know. They just stopped. It just fell off.
Like the thing over your head's broken?
Yeah, but basically they just like stay tight enough that I can just put it there. And I think I can even run with them, dude. I think I can. I went on like a run.
Probably
I
the
can
hair,
still,
bro.
yeah.
Hair probably holds it on.
My head's getting more jacked or something.
That's fire.
All right. Should we start it off?
Yeah.
Boys, we're going on his second. Just for me, IPA. Well, first, I'm Alex Caravan.
Okay, Driveline R&D podcast, Research and Drinks, episode 10, April 12th, Easter Sunday.
Happy Easter, y'all.
Anthony Brady, biomechanist,
Christian, bro.
Driveline baseball. That's me.
I'm Alex Caravan, co-manager of baseball analytics.
Go swag manager.
I'm Kyle Lindley, R&D engineer, drinking an arrogant bastard ale that Gretchen, shout out Gretchen Hoffman.
And the crazy thing is, Lindley actually is an arrogant bastard.
Very true.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Saying this for a while.
Damn it. That's what she meant by sending me these, dude.
I'm drinking slightly colder than room temperature Rainier. Which is still good. Still good. I think Rainier is pretty drinkable.
This pizza, have you tried this pizza for me?
No, it's like a peach IPA, right?
I mean, yeah.
Is it an IPA though?
It's peaches or pizza? I thought you said pizza, and I was like, damn,
pepperoni, dog.
Flavor
Pizza for me.
Also, very randomly, I don't know if you know this, Lindley. Do you know that Brady's easily by far favorite type of pizza is pepperoni?
Not even a question.
I don't think I've ever had pizza with Anthony.
Yeah, it's like not even a question. It's that.
So but I'm not even hating on it, but isn't that kind of wild? Because that's like, you know, that's like someone saying like, oh, my favorite like sandwich is like
Turkey Club.
Yeah, or no, not like something even more basic. You know, like oh, like
it's like the plainest. Bread, it's like the plainest flavor of vanilla.
And it's
like
in
pizza form. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, that's what you're saying, my man.
I think it's just like, I mean, there's just nothing wrong with it. Well, you know, I'll admit I'm pretty vanilla in that.
Do you think you didn't have exposure early on to different types of pizza?
Honestly, you know what is weird? When I do switch it up, I only switch it up to like the other end of the spectrum, which is just like supreme / everything on it. Those are kind of like the only two I work with. Don't like really dabble in between, like sausage, cheese, Hawaiian. Don't fuck with those. It's like pepperoni or I want everything on it, kind of a thing.
I'm
like,
trying to think of what flavor you got in Canada when we went in Lake Louise.
Pepperoni.
With that red wine, the mystery red wine.
Yeah, this is probably.
I swear it wasn't pepperoni.
It was probably a supreme. Then it wasn't. I don't know.
You should do like a YouTube channel, just like pairing pizzas with like drinks. You're like, oh, this red wine, I like to go pepperoni. White wine, pepperoni.
It's a bad argument, but I like when people do notice that, I say it's like the best way to like tell if a pizza place, you know, you have like a standard. It's a scientific way to like standardly compare pizza places. You only get the same kind at all of them. They all sell pepperoni. So that's just like,
yeah, dude, but
that's how I judge them. I know it is really bad. It's really bad. I'm just trying to make an excuse for like me not being that vanilla when I know I am.
I'd hope your life goal isn't comparing all possible pizza places. That's what you should tell them. Be like,
whoa,
sorry, man.
First of all, that'd be a great life goal. I have nothing wrong with that. And also, I would come to the conclusion that like Little Caesars and DiGiorno are the two best. Oh,
dude, Little Caesars probably still to this day is the most like common denominator of pizza I've had, because I used to crush it. I used to live when I was like in my late teens, mid to late teens. There's a Little Caesars place like 2 blocks from where I lived, and my brother would just crush that all the time. Like the $5 pepperoni, the large pepperoni with like I think breadsticks too. Yep. Dude, we would crush that like I would crush that like at least like once a week.
Oh
for
yeah,
like 4 years straight. You know.
Yeah, I think I did that in high school and college, just like nonstop. Lately, though, it's been DiGiorno. If there was a Little Caesars near us, it would still be Little Caesars. But like,
you go cheese filled crust or no?
On DiGiorno?
Yeah.
No, just normal rising
It's
crust.
very good, dude. You should try it.
That's too crazy for me. I got to keep it vanilla.
Man,
I keep it
And
And
boring.
this ties nicely into the personal life discussion we were having previously before off there.
This is a good Easter Day discussion. Maybe let's do pizza for Easter. Be good.
Oh,
Do we have any
shit.
right now in the fridge?
I had my pizza yesterday.
No, I need to go get some groceries for the week.
I think my brother and I were gonna go too. All right, but we'll talk more about
All right,
that
yeah.
off air.
R&D podcast. We're let's get back into the R&D.
RM Pizza podcast. All right.
Research, drinks, and
last
pizza.
week. Let's see. Last week, I spent most of my week kind of helping out with the.
Week 6
or like-
in quarantine from home.
Oh yeah, I've long since lost track. But
Everything's blended together.
Weekends just don't exist anymore. Like days just don't exist. Every day is just a day. Like at this point,
Okay.
I feel like.
Okay, well, I was gonna say that, but anyways, I mean, we all know today's Wednesday, so obviously, like you can tell what day it is.
Easter Wednesday.
What's it called? Good Tuesday.
Monday.
Good-
I think it's Good Tuesday.
Good Thursday. Fire.
Now last week I spent most of my time doing some software development stuff and also kind of gearing up for the D1 baseball partnership that Driveline recently signed and we went public with a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
Mostly, yeah. Tosh, Driveline Tosh is the architect behind the deal. Most of it is ran through our very, ramshod analytics department. Myself and Nina Coyne heading it with Mike Tempolini.
Oh, Tamp! I hope you're watching this.
Edit it out if I got it wrong. I just as I was saying, I was realizing that. Anyways, and David Besky. So that the whole workflow kind of was an important thing to iron out this week. But we're really excited. I think we're gonna get player profiles out next week, and I'm really looking forward to our content. I think it's gonna be like very, very good, and it's also like really, really fun. So kind of like my first time. I haven't really written too many player profiles, so to speak, or at least like not in this sense.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of fun doing it. And I mean, I haven't like finalized my draft of it, but yeah, pretty pumped. What about you guys?
You
What's
okay?
a quick question? What's the like output on that? Like you're putting together a player profile. Is it just going to be like a report that you guys are making?
Yeah, player profiles aren't the only thing. We have like a kind of a list of stuff. It's both very open to our kind of creative interpretation and also like quite like there's like podcast stuff involved. So I don't know what that's gonna entail. I'm gonna pitch them just, hey, have us on, ask us some questions.
Yeah.
We're three guys in our mid-20s that like to yada yada, so it should be pretty easy to ask questions.
This is double digits episode.
Yeah.
We should have celebrated.
Is it 10?
This is 10.
Wow.
And
We're getting serious.
everyone knows 94% of podcasts don't even last through the single digit.
Yeah,
so
no, I mean we got like a toothbrush over at the place. This is getting real. Real.
You got a toothbrush over at the place? Is that what you're trying to say? You know a toothbrush over?
Nah, I just bring it with
I think I just left my toothbrush. As I said, I just realized, dude. Damn it. Oh, no, okay. Anyways,
BRK, what'd you do last week?
I wrapped up, or not wrapped up, but helped coordinate a couple like processing for a couple studies, Diamond Kinetics validation and the Rapsodo like spin rate or spin characteristics and kinematic study we're doing. And
what's the sample size on the DK study?
It's complete now.
No, what's the sample size?
30 or 29 now. We're gonna have to toss one of the subjects, but and they each have 5 swings. So one subject's gonna have 4.
Fire.
So I don't know what's that math, 140 something.
145. 144.
Yeah. And then started writing a case tracking blog. Gonna put together some like videos.
Release the data.
Release the data. Blog gang, get the blogs out.
Yeah. Apparently we got a big back, like a bunch of blogs ready to publish, but we're like slowly putting them out. But this will add to the list. It's basically just looking at some qualitative analysis of gauge tracking data and video that we have, and then going to tie in our first attempt at quantifying it with what Caravan did a few months ago. So that's pretty fun. I'm wrapping that up here. I had fun writing that.
So probably rerun all that stuff, right? Because the metrics are gonna be different and everything.
Yeah, this one wasn't changed. So the one that I included in there, so it's chilling. But yeah, I think it should be reran. If I have a point where I can put a chunk of time into getting all that data reran, I think that would be a good idea.
Nice.
Okay. What about you, Brady?
Working on just some more kind of, I guess it's still a little Black Ops project. I think it'll be Black Ops for like one more week. Next week. Yeah. Doing some talks, and like we should be able to start to like put things out on Twitter and talk about it here soon. So that'll be good. Just trying to do some more remote training stuff, helping that out. Did a CSCS continuing education webinar last week.
Shout out Stephen Hart.
Give me the plug on that.
You think you're down to put renewed in parentheses in your Twitter name? Like
recertified.
Brady MS CSCS renewed.
Recertified CSCS. Yeah, I might have to do that. I mean, I still have to finish all. I don't know. I mean, I'm not too worried about it. Also, like learning from that webinar, like I'm just so far out of the applied strength and conditioning field now. I value the information of it, but I just I don't write programs for people, so a lot of that stuff is not really necessary for me. I'm just so much more in on like the biomechanics, exercise physiology stuff. But that was good.
That's not part of the CSCS at all?
No, it is. I'm saying like the webinar was mostly like applied stuff, programming, strength and conditioning stuff. Whereas like I think I'm way more in the like exercise science, exercise physiology side of the CSCS. And
is the idea of keeping that up so you can kind of like keep up with new ideas and new like research that comes out? Or...
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, it's just and it's also like it's a good accreditation as far as like exercise science, probably one of the most standardized ones, especially for strength and conditioning too. And like you do have to have some pretty good like foundational exercise science, anatomy, phys knowledge to keep it. And then from there, it's just like 40 hours of continuing ed is basically what it is.
40 hours for a year?
I think it's every 2 years. They've been kind of like changing it a bit. I'm pretty sure it's like 20 hours a year, 40 hours every 2 years. Because like mine is almost 2 years old and I have to have 40 hours. So keep it. That's what it is. So, other than that, the blog came out. I mean, we talked about the study last time, but the blog came out.
Have you heard from like third parties at all on it?
I got some good feedback, mostly just people saying like good read.
Yeah.
Couple people from like a couple like Driveline people that are in some like orgs reached out and said it was like a good read.
Really?
And that actually said that they've been talking about this apparently, which is good. Like organizations have been having like continuing ed in the frame of reference of like read things critically, like journal articles and stuff. So that's exciting stuff. Mm-hmm. That's already happening. But I haven't really like gotten anyone reach out negatively or other than just like, hey, nice.
Oh, dude, they've been reaching out on me, man. They've been telling me you got to get your co-host in line.
Got a laundry list.
Yeah, my wish. Other than that, just getting back into KVS and blast validation stuff. So trying to get a better like idea of where that is, and then some hitting pipeline stuff.
I was saying, speaking of studies, you want to intro us on our recurring social media stats gone wrong segment?
Oh yeah, this is like the what happened in Twitter last week segment. I like it. The one we have for this week. Hear this work. You guys see this?
Yeah, bro. You guys see this though?
I mean, they can maybe see this. It looks like
it's
on
very
OBS
small.
they can
It's
maybe see
It's very small, dude. You call my arm small, man?
Looks like they can.
Let's not forget
sorta
who won the bench press competition.
So I thought,
Oof, that's
this one,
a zinger.
This one, yeah, this is from last week. I think it's a good one to talk about. Caravan, just like maybe a better way to present this data. This is from Florida Baseball Ranch down there. That does mass equal gas. What do you got on this?
Yeah, I mean, couple things right off the bat.
According to the analysis we did,
they mentioned the analysis, but don't really link to it besides this one image, which obviously, like in theory, if you're gonna dress up an analysis, I'd like to see something a little bit more than one kind of data viz thing. But even is it going to be a data viz thing? Unclear. Blue dots, orange dots, unclear what's what. Also unclear other things like the age gap of this sample, which is like I think really important when you're talking about weight.
yeah,
And also no real numbers or anything. I mean, the trend seems a little bit more linear, but also just like less data points under 175 to 180. I mean, the red line is almost as thick as the actual dots. So like it blocks out actual data points.
yeah,
Velocity is kind of weird. I mean, we're talking about like using force plates to measure weight, and then you have your weight in pounds. So it's like unclear what the force plates even really did.
yeah.
Because force plates are gonna spit out stuff in newtons. And also you don't need force plates to measure body weight, and you don't need force plates to measure pitch velocity. So it's like a little bit.
I mean, the idea is that like after 180 pounds, weight is the same basically, as far as like more isn't better, I guess is what they're saying. So if you only look above this red line, then, but I mean, even just looking at this, like to me, I see like pretty equal distribution of slow and hard throwers on both sides below. I mean, like you got this guy down here pumping low mid 90s at 140. That guy's a beast.
Yeah, that was me 20 pounds ago.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm curious, especially that data point makes me wonder I'd like to know what the heights are. Like how tall are these people? This guy's 6 foot 140.
Big stream bean.
Yeah.
Could just be really short.
Probably could still take you in the bench press, Lindley.
Also, it kind of looks like there is still a continuing linear trend above the red line. So
the
whole thing
that's kind of
like
thing.
Yeah, I just would have liked to have seen like an actual like correlation on it.
But even correlation, I think would have been like if this had to have a correlation, I would have had all the same questions I had before.
Right.
No, data sample wise, if anything, if you're gonna break stuff up by segments, I'd like to see like mean values of people in certain weight classes, and then we can run like a t-test to get like a p-value to attempt a statistical significance. And I think the biggest thing is also like I don't even disagree necessarily with the title. I'm sure I agree. I'm sure mass does equal gas to a certain point.
Yeah.
I'm sure that trend does hold true, and like we found that on like a much larger sample.
Yeah.
In gym, But
yeah,
I don't know. Like
this is courtesy of Dan. Courtesy of Ocoin.
Yeah.
This is from our internal data set, fastball velocity and weight in gym. The tough thing with this is the axes are flipped, right? Oh man,
which makes way more sense when you say something equals something,
right?
You want your independent variable to be on the x-axis and your dependent one on the y. I was gonna say also
need to be describing. Yeah, exactly. For the people listening to this.
Yeah.
This
is
and
Dan's velocity is on y, weight is on x. And I think another thing that this graphic displays much more. I mean, there's a couple things, but this displays with much more certitude than the other one is. This is, I think, a LOESS and R.
Yeah.
Like locally weighted linear regression line, and the shaded area kind of displays the standard deviation of the equation. So near the ends, you can see it like widen out because there's way less data points at the very top and very bottom of the weight distributions.
Yeah.
The thing that's like makes it clear that like, yeah, we have less data points. We don't know that for sure. Someone's at 250 and they gain 25 pounds. We don't know for sure that they're going to gain also in velo.
Yeah.
Just like we don't know for sure if they lose, like if they're 135 and lose a couple pounds, that they're going to lose velo because there's less data points. Now, like, you know, go ahead.
That's also a good point. Like in this in general, like just because there's the trend, as you mentioned, it does even like if you're in the middle where we're really confident of the mean, if you lose one or the other, it's still not necessarily going to change the other variable. Like if I'm in the middle, even if we're really confident what the relationship is between weight and velocity at 200 pounds, like just because I lose 10 pounds doesn't mean I'm going to lose velo, which is just like obviously just another like note on the side of it. But
I mean, I like the idea of trying to simplify it, you know, to a threshold. Finding out like, is there like a threshold of weight or mass that you need for some velocity? But I mean, even in this case, this data point alone, honestly, these multiple like 90 mile an hour plus data points under this line would seem to argue against that point, you know?
Yeah. I honestly can't even tell. It's not even clear to me that the average velo of people under 175 is even less than the people above it.
Yeah, it's true. There's like so many.
It's not even clear to me.
Yeah.
Besides any attempt to like I don't even know if the graph proves the point. Obviously, without even talking about all the confounding factors that could be involved, but I actually can't even tell what this graph is telling me, if anything at all.
Yeah.
With that scale on the x-axis, it's only 80 to 100. So like it looked like the average under 175, where that line was like right around 90, which is pretty crazy to me.
Yeah.
That there was like a mean of, it looked like, I don't know, 10 to 20 points. We're all throwing 90.
Yeah. Yeah, I really would like to have seen like the whole I mean, basically just see more of the data set and more of a description of like what it actually is, as opposed to just like one tweet in the image. Because again, you can just like really get into trouble with whatever you're trying to say with that, and it easily being misinterpreted. Like that's just a really easy one to misinterpret if you don't know how to like read that properly.
Yeah, and one last reminder: just because someone's beefy, doesn't mean they throw heat. Because your boy's beefy doesn't throw fuego. I mean, I throw a little bit hard.
You kind of throw fuego.
Yeah.
Relative to your, you know, stature.
I throw fuego relative to my stature.
Yeah. Your mass equals your low gas.
Oh, he's calling you small, dude.
I mean, you're the littler Caravan.
Yeah, dude. Wow. But I mean, I got gas.
Also smaller than Nikolai. You think Nikolai throws harder than you?
Nikolai pumps Ched.
Yeah, we don't talk about this on the podcast. Anyway, moving on to our second segment.
What is the second segment?
I guess we don't have a snappy
Was
title.
there anything else that went on Twitter worth talking about last week?
I mean, unless you're trying to break down coronavirus graphs.
No.
Yes. Definitely not. Oh, is the I think okay. This is definitely top. Never mind. But the NBA horse thing, I think.
NBA what?
The NBA horse thing.
Oh, did it actually happen?
I think so. I think it happened today.
Who won?
Pretty crazy.
I saw the 2K tournament.
I saw somebody mention about what 2K tournament. Players were playing 2K.
Yeah. I think like Devin Booker won or something.
That's crazy.
Second segment was kind of falling up off the weighted ball mound programming stuff. But in this case, we're gonna go something more user friendly, or more like something more people are familiar with. Looking at data in Excel. So I was gonna look at break down some quick stuff, how you can tell if like a tracking technology, in this case TrackMan, is calibrated or the data is useful. Because recently dealing with some data that's pretty dirty, and especially if like someone's not super familiar with it, they can waste a lot of time trying to get like meaning out of data like this, and then just like quickly. Sometimes it's like not even worth it. If there's a certain level of uncertainty about the data, it's not even worth it incorporating into like a model or a database or whatever you're trying to use it for.
Right.
So without further ado, I will share my screen. Okay. And let's see. Okay, so this is, I deleted all the columns that would give away whose data this is. So no player, no team info data, hopefully. But let's put on, first off, a couple quick shortcuts.
Anon. The file is called Dirty Anon. All right, for anyone listening, this is if you want to check this out on YouTube, this is probably gonna be like 25 minutes in.
Okay, so actually, right off the bat, a couple quick Excel key shortcuts, which I know Brady at least is a big fan of. So I clicked Control A on on a Windows keyboard to select everything. Then I'm doing Control Shift L. That puts a filter on every single column. Then I kind of like keeping my column names up there so I can see them as I scroll through the data. So I'm gonna go Alt W F R. That freezes my top row. So if I go through, I have the top row of column names up there, so I can always tell.
Wait, hold up. What did you filter? You said it filtered.
Control Shift L.
Yeah, but what is it filtering based on?
So it just puts like this automatic filter on any of the columns, so I can then click on.
Okay.
Okay.
Turns all the columns into a drop down.
Actually, this could be fun. What do you guys see? Do you guys see anything right off the bat?
There's a lot of mistagged pitches, or like the tagged pitches are empty.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
A lot of pitches with no spin rate.
Right. Both good. Like, yeah, right off the bat, that's like the easiest thing to tell. Let's see. So, with pitch number should always have a number. Let's see how many rows there are total. We'll select that column. Looks like almost 5,000 rows, 4,700, or we'll call it 4,800. Tagged pitch types. Looks like it's missing around 400 pitch types. Okay. What about spin rates? Wow. So missing almost 2,000 spin rates on a TrackMan unit, which already tells you like something's got to be off, because there's no reason the TrackMan would miss that many. And keep in mind, this is actual game data, so it's not like someone grabbing a ball and like chucking it into the stands. So, but let's rifle through, and then I'll kind of go to it, and I'll see if you guys notice anything else. All right, you guys, anything else stick out of this on this page?
I can't really see the columns. So right now we're just looking through.
Another quick shortcut.
Sheets.
I'll Shift Enter selects everything in that row. I'm gonna click Alt OCA to expand the column name, so you can always see the column names. Alt OCA. Okay, is that better?
Wow.
Nice. This is nice.
That's incredible. What are those columns on the right where there's only 3 rows that have data?
These are batted ball data.
Batted ball data.
Yeah, this is EV, LA, direction. Yeah, I mean, these columns are a little bit messed up too, but you can't tell right off the bat. What I'm noticing, if you look at this, we have a couple columns here. Release points,
90 inches of induced vertical break. 300 inches of vertical break.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yep. That was another thing I was going to mention, but first I was going to
bring your attention to. Is that spin rate missing?
For the ones that no, the spin rate's here. The
1,000
breaks is insane.
1,000 spin rate and 300 inches of vertical break. What in the world?
So even before getting into that, I was going to point out the different formatting. Some of them, release height. You have, in a numerical format, then you have 6 feet 5 inches. But also looking at this, I mean, release height is the point where someone releases their pitch, and if you just look there's a little bit, it gets kind of wild quick. 11 feet. Who's releasing at 11 feet off the ground? I mean, is a homie trying to
Zach Hess
dunk the ball
after a broad jump,
or is he trying to throw a pitch?
Yeah,
but I mean, if he's releasing, and
that actually dunks, right? A hoop's 10 feet.
Yeah, I mean, if you're releasing above 11 feet,
savage.
I mean, obviously nobody's releasing above 11 feet. But then you just look down and see 6 feet. So also should be someone who's ever looked through baseball data. Nobody is going to have more than a couple inches of variance in release height, much less 5 feet.
The vertical approach angles are like legit launch angles.
Yeah.
Like -20.
Yeah. That's the other thing. And a quick thing, when
Like
you
a
do see this, you
softball
can just
pitch.
look down. You can just look down on vert break. You click the drop down. Look at this. There's something out there with
Oh,
500 with
600
over
inches of
550
vertical
inches
break.
of vertical break.
Holy, oh,
Yeah. Yeah. So
impressive.
that's
What's
insane.
what's the positive side of that? Is there any like?
Well, this is not induced, so everything's gonna be negative. But it only goes to 100, 0. Induced vertical break. I mean, the
Oh, you
highest
have
value is
negative
100.
101, and then you have positive like
Yeah,
80ish
which I'm
or
assuming is going to
something.
be really but again,
Pitch is nasty.
yeah, pitch is nasty and also non-existent.
Yeah.
How come some of the heights and weights are in feet and inches?
That's
And
what I'm saying.
then
That was
some
another
of are,
giveaway that the data was probably poorly formatted or like structured, because a TrackMan is not going to read something in put in inch format. It's going to read it in like numerical format like this.
yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you guys notice most of the thing. The same kind of thing applies here. Play location height. This is where the ball comes in on the zone. As you guys might know, the zone is a couple feet off the ground. It's not 19 feet off the ground. Believe it or not, nobody has a strike zone. Not even Aaron Judge has a strike zone that's almost 20 feet off the ground.
Oh.
So that should be another giveaway. Or at the, I mean, I guess it's not the. I mean, nobody's throwing. No, people aren't throwing pitches quite that high that consistently. So and I mean, yeah, just looking at this, even the play location side, some of it is in feet. Actually, the play location side isn't too bad, assuming once you convert to feet and height. But yeah, that's a couple of quick things. More formatting issues here with quotes and double quotes. These are like the nine parameter fit, but again, you can tell just by having it in the feet format that like this is not a properly calibrated TrackMan, or at least someone came in and put in their own metrics. Yeah, that's a quick look at just like being able to tell right away that the data is pretty crazy. What I would do, I mean, this is an easy example because I said we just looked at it right now and could tell stuff was funky. What I probably would do if it was less clear, if I just got this CSV, nothing jumps out the top of my head. What I would do otherwise is I'd do a quick pivot table. You guys familiar with pivot tables?
I've only used a couple.
So I'll do pivot table on the pitch type and then the break, velo, and spin, right? Because we all kind of have like a loose general idea of, you know, what a pitch should be. So when you do
Caravan
a pivot table,
he's highlighting all the rows.
Yeah, you want to select the columns you want to do. Go to insert, pivot table. I'm just going to plop it on a new sheet. I'm going to drop down my tag pitch type as the rows. And I'm going to do, like I said, I'm going to do velo, spin rate, and then induced vert break, horizontal break. Just going to change these real quick to averages. And let's see what we get. The kind of annoying thing here is we got a fastball and a four-seam fastball too. And the kind of funny thing is, I mean, like we're off the like off the top of your head. If you were gonna do this is like a little bit less obvious. I mean, there are a couple of things that seem, you know, these are like not all these pitchers are like super typical profiles, but this is actually like
Is this all one pitcher?
This is a couple pitchers. It's supposed to be mostly like a couple pitchers. Like the data is weighted heavily towards like two pitchers.
Wouldn't you want to split by handedness first?
Yeah. I deleted that column though for anon, for the dirty anon thing.
So is this only righties?
Dirty.
No, it's not only righties.
But if it's
which is what
wouldn't then isn't the vertical and horizontal break gonna like, well, the vertical break would be the same, but the horizontal break could be way off if it's righties and lefties, right?
Yeah. It's a good. Actually, let me see if I did keep the handedness in. That'd be a good on the spot thing to check. Yeah. So I mean, if I was splitting it by pitcher, oh no, we actually do have it in there. Okay, so I'll change. Once you already make a pivot table, you can go analyze, change data source, and then expand the columns. So I'll just change it to A, include all the columns because column A is the top one. I'll throw pitcher throws in here above the tagged pitch type. So now we can see.
Right and left. Yeah, there you go.
which makes sense because the I mean, yeah. So I mean, look at this. We have our I mean, it'd be useful to get a number in here too. So let's throw in pitch number as the count, just to get like a sample size number, right? Okay. So
one nasty cutter,
one nasty cutter with 18 inches of horizontal break.
23 nasty blanks.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it's actually a pretty good example of it's less clear doing averages than just looking through the data. That the data's messed up.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think some of these are like a little bit, you know, like I mean,
once you so after you like go through this and identify if there's any data that's clearly wrong or needs to be at least adjusted, do you just delete the rows, or is there anything that you do to try to like troubleshoot that?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, if the data is dirty and I can't confidently like get, I'll look through games. I'll see if there's like a couple games that are weighing it down, which is what I did initially. I looked at just the ones that I was like, oh, maybe it's just like this weird inches format. I mean, what ended up being like if I just went on all the ones that had no spin rates, we have quite a few that have. We have quite a few, because we have 1,700 total.
There's only 40 left that are untagged.
No, there's only a few that are untagged. Most of the untagged ones are actually have spin rates, which is almost like worrisome. You have all your empty spin rates have tags.
I thought you
there's only like
those.
7 that don't have tags.
Yeah.
But what I was looking at was like maybe these ones that have feet and inches in them. So I'd like click like the apostrophe in there to get that. And I mean, some of these are for sure messed up, but it wasn't like all of them, So in this case, I threw out most of this data. But if I could have pinned down like the weird formatting and psycho values to only a few games, that would have been a good way to kind of preserve it.
Clean it, make it usable.
Yeah. But yeah, quick look at dealing with some dirty data, and then take away my screen sharing privilege before I go off the cuff.
Some dirty data. I don't know. Can I do that? A participant. Oh, there we go. We're back. We're back.
Also, back on the Twitter thing, I forgot to mention it, but Jager's post, it's not like a thing that needs to be like discussed in a corrective way, but Jager's randomized bullpens fired me up because I like the idea of randomization for like studies, obviously, because it's good practice, but it was cool to see he like created 3 different templates, split up the zones a couple different ways, and randomized pitch types and zones. So if you were a pitcher going to throw a bullpen and you have these 3 pitches, just randomize the order in which you throw them, in which zone you're throwing them at, and for like command practice.
Dude, I also went to Jager's Twitter page right now, and I saw he just posted a Happy Easter video of him doing a backflip.
What? Really? You could do a backflip?
Yeah. Dude, he sent me a video a week ago of him doing 2 backflips, and I played the video on my laptop, but for some reason the video like visual didn't load. So it was just a blank picture of a lawn with nobody on it, and I could hear the sound. I was listening to it. I was like, why did you send me a 25 second video of just a lawn? And I'm listening to it, and I can hear like the grunts or whatever. I was like, what? This has got to be messed up. And I downloaded it, then played it, and then saw him doing 2 backflips. But I watched the 25-second empty video for like twice in a row. I was like, why did you send me this?
On? Good. Yeah, that
awesome.
That randomized bullpen, I saw that. That's pretty fire. Really good idea that's something we've talked about for a long time. Just like better, more like scripted command-esque bullpens. Actually attacking that. Brilliant on that.
Dude, speaking of Jagers though, I just noticed Brady, he has 90 more followers than you, man.
He does.
On Twitter.
Oh man.
I remember the days when he was thousands of followers behind. Now he's at almost 7,700, and you're at almost 7,600.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Wow. That's almost like how
that's what happens
you're
when
like
you're
350
big league.
away from your goal, Caravan, and I'm like like 90 away from mine.
Told you, man. Don't get cocky. It gets real lonely up top, dude. It gets real lonely when you're going for 1,000.
No,
not for Jake's. Not for Jake's, clearly.
Yeah.
Jake's made his Twitter and already had above 1,000.
Yeah.
Me and all my followers at the top are just gonna be just fine up there, Caravan.
But for you, how much did you? How did you get Dan's girlfriend to follow you? What did you do?
I didn't have to pay anything, dude. I followed her first. Did you follow her?
What?
Did you follow her?
Anyways, third recurring segment.
Third recurring segment.
Two cold cuts by Caravan this episode.
Third recurring segment of. I guess should we get into it?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What's the next segment?
Do we have a good title for it?
No. Just like research
Journal
article
of the
breakdowns.
week.
Yeah.
That's all we got right now.
Yeah, article breakdowns.
Okay, so this one actually came as a request from one of our many fans. Actually,
breaking it down.
Do you guys know his name? We can give him a shout out.
Do not.
Ben Aldridge, I believe.
Oh yeah, you probably followed him too, Lindley. You probably got him as a. You told them, "Yo, listen, we'll do your journal article on air if you follow me and not Caravan." Yep,
Wow.
Ben Aldridge.
Zach Moraine gave him our Twitter handles.
Anyways, so let's bring up. So he gave us a recommendation to kind of break down.
You know, pull it up on screen.
Yes, sir. So my turn to break stuff down. You know, we had Lindley riff about what you do usually on again? Gaze tracking.
Yeah, it was a gaze tracking study from Japan.
Yours was about bragging about how we're not the first to the moon. You know, Brady did his and leverages that into a blog article. And now it's my turn, and we'll mix it up a little bit this time. I haven't gone quite as in depth as Lindley and Brady had gone previously.
Mm-hmm.
So we can have a more collaborative, you know, you deep dive with me rather than I deep dive before you, then tell you what's up. You deep dive with me.
Nice.
So, we'll
nice. For those of you listening, the title of the study is Evaluating the Effects of Underloaded and Overloaded Warm-Ups on Subsequent Swing Velocity. Where's this out of?
And a good question I'm asking myself, actually. Okay, looks like 2017.
By Ryan Miller.
You can keep going?
Out of
Central Missouri.
Also,
And
University of Oklahoma is in there.
Yeah.
Can't say I've read this. Hey, in the NSCA journal, though, CSCS journal. Got some CEUs for this.
If I'm in the on-deck circle and I'm swinging a donut, what are the effects on my swing velocity, Caravan?
Why ask me, dog?
Caravan has the study pulled up on screen. That's the title if you want to look it up and check it out as well. I don't know anything about this, so feel free to thoroughly break it down for me.
Yeah, and I only know a little bit more than you said I see you said donut because it says that in the key weight, donut weight.
Mm-hmm.
That's tight.
Yeah.
This is also what Brady refers to as a Sunday breakfast as. Anyways. So quick overview of what the study is, and it seems pretty meticulous, but the idea is a interventional study, and unlike the study we did last week, this actually does have a control group and kind of pins most of its findings on the control group. The intervention of doing warming up with plastic bats, control bats, and heavy bats. And everything, the lengths are a little bit different too. The control bat, which also using the control group, obviously, 32 inches, 29 ounces. The plastic bat is 31 inches, 6.4 ounces, and heavy bat, 32 inches, same as the control bat, but 57 ounces.
So looking at like acute effects of that, okay.
Yep. Yeah. So there are actually a couple.
Nice.
There are actually a couple testing visits. First, they only did a control bat.
Very interesting.
Then they warmed up with that, intervened with the plastic bat. Then they warmed up with that, intervened with the heavy bat, and then they measured like the swing velocities of the post effect of the intervention.
So each of those
And-
subjects did each condition.
Yep. So the main thing was that the main point is right here. Analysis of variance indicated that after the plastic bat and control bat interventions, much significantly faster swing velocities were generated when compared to traditional heavy bat intervention. So it's kind of interesting because it's kind of challenging one of the or like a kind of a component of baseball research that has been out there for a little bit now, that overload training does help. So the finding from the study would seem to contradict that.
Not really.
A heavy bat. What's up?
I mean, not really. Just because it's an acute effect.
Well, go ahead and lay it out then.
So I mean,
Like,
this
what do you mean?
this isn't saying, unless I'm misunderstanding the study, it's not like they trained with the overload bat for weeks on end and their bat speed improved. It's just like,
oh no,
they took a couple quick swings with an overload and then they swung a normal bat.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no.
That doesn't contradict overload training. That just says that the idea of like a donut might not work.
Okay. Yeah. I guess maybe I misspoke. I didn't mean like overload training in general. Just I guess specifically for warming up right before.
Right.
Because they measure the swing velocities post the intervention.
Yeah. I mean, I would doubt that there's. I can't imagine that actually being like a really scientifically founded thing in other like strength and conditioning fields. Like, would the idea, or maybe it is, I guess, would the idea be that like you say you like deadlift a heavier weight, drop it down to a lower weight, can you like VBT that faster? I don't know if there's anything in existence like that.
Yeah. No, I think that could be a good metaphor. But I think in general the way they framed it was like warming up with the, I mean, yeah, and maybe that is that is potential feedback from the study. Their wording is a little bit strong at times. For example, here they say the results of the study indicate that warming up with a heavier bat can significantly decrease swing velocity, which is technically a finding of the study, but the swing velocity is like post, like the way they structured it. I think it had like 30-second rest breaks.
Yeah.
Or no, they had 2 to 3 minutes, and then So okay, they had 3 swings of each type of the bat, or each type of the bat based on the testing visit. Initially, they did only the control bat, then plastic bat, then control bat again, then control bat, heavy bat, control bat again. And in between each set of swings, they had 2 to 3 minutes to kind of rest and in theory recover. And yeah, they calculated everything also in meters per second. So a little bit different than, maybe velos that people are used to seeing from DK or Blast. And they had a pretty statistically robust design whipped up. They had a 2-way repeated measures ANOVA with an additional like multiple correction or multiple comparison adjustment baked in.
Yeah.
So kind of to lower the chance of them, getting a false positive.
Yeah.
And also the study kind of doubled a little bit as measuring with qualysis. And they did like some reliability finding and found like really, really strong, reliable, reliable measures of qualysis. They found a Cronbach's alpha of 0.95 when, the kind of loose rule of thumb is a Cronbach's alpha of around 0.7 is when you start to say something becomes reliable or stable. So 0.95 is quite high.
So they just measured the reliability. They didn't like compare the qualysis measurement to some other measurement.
I think they were just using mocap for the measurement.
Yeah. Qualysis 3D motion capture software.
Free fire.
Yeah. Anyways, so
what was the weight of the heavy bat?
57 ounces, I think.
That's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
That's I want to say like donuts are typically like a pound. I think they're a lot closer to like 16 ounces, maybe less.
I think the axe overloads are less than 40, right?
Yeah, 57 is really heavy.
Yeah, that's the
plastic
penny bat.
Plastic bat was 6.4 ounces. Control was
Sounds like
29.
Ball bat. Yeah.
Control was 29, and then yeah, like heavy bat was almost twice that, 57.
57's a lot. How much was the drop off in the heavy bat for velocity, bat speed?
Let's see. So post trial. So here we're looking at the results, and it's pre-trial. They only dropped off about 0.7 meters per second from pre-trial to post trial.
Oh.
Whereas
difference.
the control and plastic both increased by at least, or our control trial increased by almost a full meter per second. Full meter per second, and then plastic bat, which was significant compared to control bat, increased by almost 2 meters per second.
Yeah, interesting. I'd definitely like to see like a middle area heavy bat, kind of like halfway between.
Yeah.
Maybe like 40 to 45 ounces, something around there.
I kind of like
that. Seems like a really heavy
going,
donut.
I kind of like the idea of going super heavy though. Like if they're trying to minimize the amount of conditions they have to test, like it's probably best to spread the conditions as far as possible. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in general, I love the idea of like investigating old baseball norms and seeing if it's just like, does any of this hold any water, kind of a thing.
Yeah, definitely. Like, that was my favorite part of the
super
position study.
Yeah, super in on this. Like, you know, I mean, that is like so widely used. Donuts are so widely used in the on deck circle. Does that actually do anything for you? So
it'd be cool to do.
I guess this says no. What was the population?
I think 32.
Or what were their like demographic? Is this like,
yep,
these
32
like players
32.
Or just like
average age? Pretty good demographics. Pretty good demographics. Average age 20. Standard deviation 2.
But like actual baseball players, not just like
recreational. Yeah, I guess they say recreational male baseball players. Let's see if they kind of go into it more. Yeah,
recreational.
Maybe.
Maybe
no. Yeah, maybe that was like intentional. Like no actual pro players.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if that was the same.
I haven't seen any studies. It'd be cool to see if there were like warm-up drills that could acutely affect your mechanics of your swing. Like I know a lot of guys will like get feels in the on-X circle.
Yeah, and it could just be placebo. I mean, and there's value in that, you know. Like I mean, even if this study does say that, and like that's the case, like if I were to have an at bat tomorrow, I'd probably swing with the donut in the on deck circle, because like when you get in the box, it feels like you're swinging really fast. You don't have the donut on.
Definitely.
Yeah. I'm trying to see here if they do mention anything about the actual backgrounds of the players. I also like this kind of like line here. First off, leads off. The first 2 lines of the study I think are kind of funny. Intro. Successful hitting in baseball is considered to be one of the most difficult tasks in sports participation. Current stats for pro and collegiate hitting indicate that failure occurs far more frequently than success, which is like
far more. Yes.
Yeah. With successful hitting characterized as a batting average above 0.275. I mean, bro, no love for WOBA, no love for you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of crazy. I mean, what about? I mean, if we're gonna talk about swings, why not like WOBA on contact? You know, when a ball is put in play, or like WOBA on swings. But
this is a really interesting thing, though. Like, acute effects in kinematics, I think, is really, really interesting. If you could like change something up immediately for your next swing with some sort of implement, I feel like at the elite level, these people that are like way more trained to do it, it's just not going to happen. I don't think there's going to be that much of an effect. But I don't know. I really like the idea of it. I mean, the idea that you could just like also apply this to even other things. Like, what about like attack angle? You know?
Yeah. I was gonna say, I just noticed. I finally spent a little bit of time looking at the actual subjects part. Yeah. So each subject played competitive baseball at least 3 of the last 5 years in high school or college. 3 of the last 5 years before this. I was like, who's been? Yeah. All these guys
5 years of
5 years in high school.
Yeah. 5th year high schoolers. Okay.
No pitchers, obviously.
So yeah, I mean they played high school or college baseball.
Yeah. But
Yeah, I mean, that's
at
good.
least I do like the whatever else. I do really like the methodical like procedures. Like
Yeah.
the first visit is kind of similar to the way we've set up our studies. The first visit was just like getting a bunch of demographic measurements, getting familiar with everything, making sure that like they're all healthy and able to complete the trial. Yeah.
No, I really like the idea in general. Contending
Warmed up.
with myths.
They have it. They all did the same standard warm up. Oh, this is where I got 30 seconds from. I was yeah, it's 30 seconds between each swing.
Hmm.
And I guess another
That's
interesting thing, I guess, is the tee, like whether or not we want to use swings off the tee as the,
Definitely, yeah.
I think
the-
I think it's good for if you're looking at only effects of the warm up swings. I think it's a good deal to do tee, because
Yeah.
if you mix in timing and a moving ball, I think that stuff is going to affect bat speed as
Yeah.
well. So
You'd have to get a much bigger sample size to count for
Yeah.
like all that randomness.
I don't know, bro. It can be really hard hitting a ball off a tee.
Huh.
I know your boys missed for sure.
In that, I have to dig up that video. I wonder if there's. Do you know? I can't think of anyone, but do you think there's like a player out there that just like swings an underload in the on deck circle? I don't think there's a
I've
single.
never seen it. I don't pay a whole bunch of attention.
I
but
feel
I've never
like that
seen it.
would be like
I don't know either.
news,
Yeah. I know when I was talking. I
Interesting.
know when I was talking to. It's not about the same thing, but I know when I was talking to like some guys from Axbat,
Yeah.
and we were thinking about potential deals or like contracts we would do with Driveline, where we would help them like present findings and everything.
Yeah.
They had like a pretty good list of everyone in MLB that does use Axbats, and like this guy was actually like recording like swing by swing level data with for Axbats. But I mean like yeah, so they had like everything really documented out. So I wonder if they have like if Axbat like kind of keeps track of who's using underload and overload best and everything.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, I really like the idea of acute effects and stuff, but I don't know, because I don't really think there's that much stickiness in the effects, especially like the more elite you get. So if there is something like, I think it'd be tight. But yeah, I just wouldn't see the applicability. I mean, these findings are really interesting, but I still don't think they're kind of like significant enough to turn anyone away from using a donut in the on deck circle,
Yeah.
Yeah, if it makes them feel better, for sure. I also think it's
Yeah.
interesting that
I think it's mostly placebo, I would guess.
it's published in Journal of S&C Research.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird.
That's cool.
SCA.
You
yeah,
think
no,
this
that's an
counts?
interesting one. Oh,
Screen sharing on a podcast.
Unauthorized reproduction of this article is prohibited. Yeah, probably.
We're about to get slapped on the wrist.
There. I'm gonna get my CSCS
Or locked
revoked.
Yeah. With Joe Exotic.
Anything else in the study worth noting?
You told me, dog. You read it just as many
That's
times
right.
as me.
That is never mind. Take that back.
No, I mean I think that's all I got. And I'll probably give it another read, and we can link it when we release the episode with any like further thoughts and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the very least, I do. I mean, first of all, I think it's like a well carried out study. I think the methods make sense. I think the methods of analysis undertaken make sense. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I don't know how about the applicability that much, but
yeah, I'm just reading through the
definitely
practical applications.
Yeah,
and it looks like they're saying sports performance coaches should focus on athlete education to reverse the historic adage to optimize performance. I just don't know. I don't think that I would go that far. Like, say we ran this study and we found this.
what would be an adjustment? What would be an easy adjustment you'd make for this study?
For the study?
To try to, yeah, like if you thought the practical applications weren't like supported enough, what would be like one thing you'd change to then be like, oh yeah, this actually like I would then be 100% behind whatever or like behind the message of the application?
The main thing that I'm thrown off by is how heavy the heavy bat is. So if the goal of it is to just like actually look at a donut, I would have just used a donut instead of a heavy bat. Like use a donut on the player's normal bat. Look at that kind of within effects there.
I think it'd be valuable to get some subjective data, even though there's limitations to the power of that. I think
that's a
having
good subjective data.
Yeah, ask them if they think they swing faster.
Ask them how they feel after before and after the intervention for all the different conditions. I think could be valuable.
Yeah, because they even note it in the practical application how previous literature may suggest the psychological ramification for using a heavy bat before hitting, which again I think that's what it most likely probably is just like placebo at that elite level. I would doubt the stickiness or the acute effect with like really, really elite players. Yeah, I probably would have just like wanted to see like an actual donut, the one that the players use. Check the bat speeds there. I like the idea of the subjective measure though. Ask them, what do they think? Do they think they swung harder there? Because for a lot of the players, that's going to be what's really going to matter,
Like we'll get something comfortable, but I mean they are all swinging at the same control bat after, so it is like I don't know if I'm on board with you guys on the subjective stuff. Like I think plenty of other things could be improved with the study, but I don't know if like I want them subjectively telling me how hard they swung rather than them all swing the same weight bat and then having that velocity.
No, the subjective measure is to find out like how does it affect their thinking psychologically.
Say they do think they swung harder, but if they're swinging like slower, why do I like? I mean, like it'd be interesting, but I don't think it's as important as them actually swinging.
But it is for the player. If they think that after they swing the light bat, they're swinging slower in the performance situation, like that matters because that's like so much of confidence and just like performance in the moment. Like you're going to have a really tough time getting an athlete to do something that they don't feel confident in. I think that's what Lindley's saying. You're trying to gauge their confidence in it.
Especially if the adverse effect of swinging a weighted bat, a 57-ounce bat, which is like not going to happen in the on-deck circle anyways. So the magnitude of that effect is only 1.5 miles an hour for bat speed.
Yeah.
So with a regular donut, I would assume that's not as great as that. I feel like that doesn't take away from a hitter's potential performance as much as him going up to the plate and being more confident, thinking he's going to be able to swing the bat faster and being able to time up whatever pitch is thrown at him.
Yeah. I mean, athletes in general just do a lot of stupid, non-performance increasing things for the sake of superstition, confidence, etc. And you're not just going to like tell them to not do that. So you'd want to see some pretty significant differences.
I mean, meters per. I mean, almost like 2 meters per second is like more than 4 miles per hour.
Did you say it was 0.7 meters per second?
It was 0.7 slower, but like look at this. But I'm saying if you're comparing like swinging with after the plastic bat intervention, they swung 2.5 meters per second faster than with a heavy bat, which is like 5.5 miles per hour. I just plugged it in meters per second and miles per hour off Google. I mean, that's huge, dude.
I mean, right, but again, it's still like if it's a lack of confidence, like for the player, you're gonna have a pretty tough time getting through that. We did very similar things when we looked at when we were like looking into AXBAT stuff at Northern Colorado. Like players were told like bats would get brought in and players would get to like swing them to decide like what bat are they going to swing this year, and it was solely about what bat they felt more comfortable with, not the exit velocity that the bat in their swing produced.
Sure, but I'm saying like you also if you're gonna do a study like trying to basically get thin margins in terms of quantitative like improvement, feedback, whatever, I don't think it can also be held back ultimately by the idea of a player being superstitious and like sticking to it. Like obviously some will be, but if the players that aren't superstitious are gonna try different things,
Yeah.
you know, that's like saying like, hey, like we want to use a Rapsodo on someone, but someone's like nervous about it and won't like throw hard on it. So I don't know if we should really use it. Obviously, the pros of using Rapsodo are like, you know, will be much less if someone doesn't feel comfortable on it.
Right.
Just like
That's
same with mocap.
that's not it would be like that's not apples to apples though. It's like I'm gonna throw a heavy ball before I throw my 5 ounce because I feel like the 5 ounce is lighter and I'm more comfortable throwing the 5 ounce after I throw the 7 ounce, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's definitely not. I mean, yeah, that's definitely more apples to apples. But I'm saying, in this sense, like, how can you, you know, like let's say the gap's even bigger. Let's say the gap's like 15 miles per hour bat speed, but like, are we then still weighing? Like, is there a point where we stop weighing like someone's comfort level?
But even
Yeah,
then,
definitely.
But even then, I still think it'd be valuable for the researchers and the community to know to just ask the subjective question. Then it's like, okay, now we're starting to understand how players think.
But how do you measure?
Yeah, it would just
what
be
do
an
you ask them?
addition
What do you ask
anyways.
them on a scale of 1 out of 10? How much
Yeah.
harder did you think you were
Do
throwing?
you think you swung? Yeah, you could do it on but you could do like a Likert scale,
A
like
binary
scale of
scale?
1 to 10. Did you, or just a binary? Like, do you think you swung harder with this implement? And then afterward, you're like, hey, you actually swung 15 miles an hour slower. Then you're getting into this whole new area of like, oh my God, players think that they're doing this when in reality, it's like a massive drop off in performance.
Yeah, but the study almost becomes something else then. Like, I don't think the study wanted to be a
But I mean,
you know,
that's
physiological response compared to your own mental response to how you feel swinging a bat. It was like I thought it was a more cut and dry measure, actual, like, you know, actual physics of the post intervention versus
yeah.
the
But I mean,
definitely.
that's still like, that'd be a really fire way to go about it, or just like something to look into.
And it would just be another like an additional metric to measure. It wouldn't take away from the other one.
Yeah.
And like their title and sounds like their hypothesis is only swing velocity, which so it's valid to only measure swing velocity with qualisys. But as far as like things to add to this and things that are applicable to the actual game, I do think the subjective feedback could be just like
And it could
adding
also,
in kinematic data or adding in like how they feel they are controlling the bat would also be valuable.
it could
to,
also
like,
on the flip side
a
support
study.
them.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying what it will be the end result, but I just like, I don't know if I agree with you guys that it's that important. I mean, let's flip it. Let's put it in perspective to Driveline then. How come we don't ask anybody after throwing blue ball rollings, do they think they threw harder off the mound? Why don't we have subjective stuff like that?
Because it's long term. Those are like long term effects of it. We're
No,
not
we can
telling
talk
them.
acutely. We measure. We can measure like why haven't we set up a study to measure like acute subjective effects of an intervention?
I mean, we just have, well, I don't think we've done like acute effect studies in general.
I mean, we have the weighted ball stuff, but like we're not. Our program is a long term, like a 6-week throwing program for long term effects on throwing performance.
Like
It's
an
not. We're
acute
not
effect is
giving them
very
a
different
program.
than a long-term training program.
We're not giving them a program to throw harder before, like, do this warm up and you'll throw harder in your game.
I think like, and that's what I'm also saying is like acute effects are most likely just like placebo and like psychological, like confidence related effects. Like you're not going to subjectively ask someone in the middle of a weightlifting program, hey, how did you feel after that 3-rep max squat? Like you probably felt shitty, but they know that in the long term, they're going to get stronger. Now, if you're looking at like, you want to look at like the acute effects of some like immediate thing, whether it's like smelling salts before, they go for like a 1-rep max, subjectively asking them, how did you feel after that? Or maybe it's like energy drinks, whatever, I think is like valuable when you're trying to look at these like acute effects, which are probably more like psychological than actually like physiological.
I don't know. I think I disagree. I don't think these effects are placebo or psychological. I think like the whole point of having a large enough sample and performing like a robust statistical test should weed out the placebo and like psychological effects of that.
I'm not-
I don't think.
I'm
I
not
don't- I
convinced of
don't think
the, but
that-
I'm not really convinced of the stickiness of the effects. And so, like in my mind, I think that there's like less of a physiological response.
What do you mean by stickiness? What do you mean by stickiness?
Like swinging the plastic bat just a couple times in that is not going to last in terms of bat speed gains the next day, an hour later, etc.
Or like, how do we
Maybe
know
not.
that? How do we know that it stays even to the end of an at bat? If they have a 10 pitch at bat, like, what if by the time at the end of that bat they're just back to normal, or after two swings?
Yeah,
they're back
maybe
to normal?
not. Maybe not. But I guess under this hypothesis, they're however many. Yeah, they had like 3 swings. Their first 3 swings are faster. So
Yeah.
if you're telling me someone's gonna have an at bat, and in one situation their first 3 swings are faster and everything else is normal, or everything else is normal, I think clearly the at bat where their first 3 swings are faster is like a higher performing at bat.
Right.
Well, you don't know that though. There's so many more, especially with hitting. There's so many more.
Oh, no,
factors that go
yeah.
into performance.
But I'm saying your example. I was saying based off your example, we're gonna talk about like the number of at bats. Like yeah, there wasn't any in-game performance. They didn't like that'd be one thing I'd like to see, like having them be in-game performance. But I think I don't know. I think you guys are like discounting in my mind the findings a little bit too much in my mind.
I'm not discounting anything about the findings or like how they approached
Or
answering
the
the
applicability
hypothesis.
of it. I should say.
Yeah.
I'm more skeptical of it being like I mean, yeah, I could see it being a physiological response, but I think these like acute effects and things like this are far less physiological than like long-term training methods.
Yeah, but I think I don't know if it's claiming it's a long-term training method. I think it's claiming it's like a appropriate warm-up for an in-game performance where like the average at bat, the average like pitch per at bat is like 3.8 or whatever it is. It's like something close to that.
Yeah.
So like three swings that are much faster is very valuable.
Right.
Well,
and I'm saying that those acute
it's not
effects, the like subjective, the psychological side is very valuable. And like those, like understanding subjectively that, knowing what the player actually like feels, is like, I just think it'd be really valuable to ask that and know that.
Maybe. I mean, I'm not saying it's not valuable. Go ahead.
Yeah. I just all I'm saying is that like adding that extra data point, knowing whether or not they feel better after like which bat might outweigh a 1 meter per second increase in bat speed. But as that increase in bat speed or decrease in bat speed gets greater, then like obviously it's going to outweigh other effects. But that's all I'm saying. Because if it makes them feel way better and more confident, I would assume I don't have like a study in front of me, but I would assume that a higher degree of confidence is gonna go farther than a degree or a meter per second of bat speed.
I personally think like subjective measurements of confidence or psychological like ease or comfort, whatever, is not only extremely tough to measure, but also I'm not convinced in general that it matters anywhere near as much as people think it matters in sports, like not just baseball.
I think you're also like a very analytical person. Like you're far more like analytically savvy than the average baseball player.
Yeah, but I mean, like there've been.
So you're probably way less emotional in those like performance settings, I would guess.
Okay, but I'm not saying from a personal point of view. I'm saying like there have been like studies done there, especially on like I've seen a couple on like football games. You know, the idea of momentum not being a thing, like compiling all the games where someone's up by 2 touchdowns, then the other team storms back. So the idea is momentum's on their end, and then like that not really have an effect once the score started on who wins and who loses. And I think like Bill Barnwell has done a couple of studies on that. I don't know if I, whatever, pull some up on top of my head, but I don't know.
I mean,
I think
confidence is like, I don't know how you would quantify confidence, but like nearly every player will probably tell you that like confidence is the most important thing in hitting. Like that's like what they're gonna go to. And so if the best way to measure that is just like subjectively asking them a question on a scale, whatever. I think those insights are really valuable in getting into like a better idea of, okay, you know, how is this player actually thinking after this? You know, what's the psychological effect of this? And in this study, it could have actually like helped support their claim. Maybe they swing the lighter bat, and then afterward, they all answered that like, yeah, we felt like we were swinging that way faster. Like that, to a lot of performance coaches and coaches, could be really valuable information that like, okay, they will also think they're swinging faster, kind of a thing.
I'm not saying it wouldn't have helped the study. I just don't think that it's as important as the actual difference in swing velocity.
Yeah, I think in the acute things like this, just like trying these very like, you know, quicker implementation things, I think that side is very, very valuable. Way more like, it's just like way less physiological than longer training and like longer chronic looks.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I think I'm not like thinking about the paper in terms of long-term training. Just like you know, like turnaround, increased swing velocity. I don't know. I guess. I mean, obviously, we can feel free to disagree, but I think like yeah. I mean, like if I read this, obviously there'd still be some caveats, and I'd like to I'd look further experimentation, and the biggest thing would be in-game performance, and also like choosing a more appropriate like heavy bat weight. But I honestly don't really care that much how confident they felt swinging the heavy bat and then swinging the normal bat if they lost like a mile and a half or a meter per second, which is like 3.5 miles, or 3 miles.
Probably a lot of performance psychologists out there that would disagree. Because like, I mean, that's and that could just be the difference of like coming from that field and then like being more on the like physiological field.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I think also the trickiest thing is, like I kind of said, is ever being able to prove that physiological comfort is an indicator in performance, because that's so much harder to measure.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Anyways, let us know in the comments what you guys think.
Yeah.
I was gonna say overall, I think it's really cool. Again, everything I was saying wasn't like taking away from what they did, just more of like on top.
Yeah. No.
Cool.
I'm very in on kind of like trying to break down just norms that everyone does and testing it out, seeing what's good with it. See if there's actually any holds any weight.
Yeah, and if you guys do want to read what I was specifically talking about, Bill Barnwell did a two piece. It's mostly about football, but it's called it's on Grantland. It's on the old site called Grantland. It's called Momentum Part 1. Actually called No Momentum Part 1. Bill Barnwell with the provocative subtitle, "It's time to arrest the ridiculous notion that momentum exists and matters in the NFL." But yeah, obviously very different than a hitter's comfort level during a baseball swing or during a baseball at bat.
Yeah,
that was good. Thanks, Ben Aldrich.
Yeah, for the recommendation.
Yeah,
let us know your thoughts. Also, if you have any other papers.
Yeah, if anybody else has any.
We started doing Aldridge's papers every week.
Yeah, just keep sending them in. We'll talk about whatever one you want.
As long as we disagree on stuff, it's going to be a juicy combo for the podcast. So keep them rolling.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Sweet.
All right, gents.
Gretchen, thanks for the beer. It was a good one.
Okay. I'm assuming Gretchen hasn't followed you on Twitter. That's why you're giving her so many shout outs. Gretchen, my birthday twin. We'll do a potluck thing somewhere in the near future where social distancing is not a thing. Or at least a less reduced need.
Fire wrapped episode 10.